Welcome to the Underground, the Steel City Underground, the black and gold standard for Pittsburgh Steelers coverage. Now, here's your host, Terry Fletcher.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Steel City Underground podcast. This is week 13 of the WTF What the Football, and my name is Terry Fletcher, so welcome to the podcast. So this week has been kind of interesting. I don't know about you guys, but I'm still hyperventilating over our win over the Ravens, but I will take a 20-19 win. I'll take any win. I don't care. Like Tomlin says, style points don't matter. I just wanted a win. And right up until the last second when that 2-point conversion was missed, I seriously was hyperventilating the whole game. But we'll get to that. So let's see what's going on around the league. I think one of the most interesting things is how the Chiefs are always favored by at least 10 points in every game they play at home. And you just sit there and go, wait a minute, are they going to actually pull out a win that has a 10-point difference? Well, let's take a look. So they won 22-9 on Sunday night. Patrick Mahomes threw his 12th interception of the season, Sunday night as well. So it's just interesting because you see Lamar Jackson doing that. But when you win games, they just go, oh, this is matching his career high. But they don't sit there and think it's a problem if you win the game anyway. Now, 5 of those interceptions for him came off drop passes, and Tyreek Hill dropped quite a few. So he also dropped 3 in Sunday night. So that was interesting because you have to go to him because he's number 10 and one of the fastest cheetah guys out there. But if you keep dropping passes, think of our Deontay Johnson, you may not get targeted again. But I think what was the most interesting from that game is that Pat Mahomes did not have a passing touchdown. So crazy, right? But yeah, you know what the football. Chiefs are winning, and yes, they are actually covering the point spread. So that's interesting. So let me talk about the Steelers game a little bit. I have to backtrack. I can't get it out of my head. And a funny thing actually happened on this one. So late in the second half, with the game on the line, it was not only Najee Harris, who finally found a pretty good running game with some seams up the middle and broke free. I mean, we didn't break free for big ones. I mean, Najee had runs of 13 and 8 yards on a drive, but Benny Snell then entered for runs of 8 and 5 yards, and they were for a first down. So that was actually pretty huge. And if the Steelers are going to make more of a playoff rush, we have to say, hey, you know what? Playoff push here, guys. What the football? Let's get that running game going. But who put on a show? Well, here's the funny thing that happened. So obviously, because I mention it every week, fantasy football is a big deal for me. I'm in 4 leagues, and I have TJ Watt in one of my leagues because 2 of my 4 leagues we pick defensive players, not just a defense. And Watt was on the COVID list. Well, he comes off on Saturday. I absolutely was going to lose by 3 points, so I needed to pick up another defensive player, and I was like, I don't want to drop TJ, but what if he's on the list? He hadn't been doing well from a fantasy perspective the last couple of weeks, and I actually dropped him. How many points did he score? 15.5. Did I still win? I won by a 0.9 in that game, but somebody else picked him up off waivers, so I'm really bummed about that. That was just stupid. Now, note to self, do not drop TJ Watt. Do not drop him on your fantasy team. But why is he worth his new contract? Oh my gosh, what the football this guy is. 12 pressures, 6 quarterback hits, 3.5 sacks. I mean, he is just crazy. He's got what does he have now? 16 sacks on the season? I mean, he just absolutely annihilated the Ravens. And if we didn't have him, I have no idea what would have happened. And another WTF moment for the Pittsburgh game, we had a total of 7 sacks on Lamar Jackson. And he definitely seemed flustered when we were getting in his face. But it was absolutely crazy. And, even though Baltimore dominated the first half in the Steelers game, it just was a crazy, they really only scored 7 points, but they kept winning on third downs. And it was driving me crazy that the Steelers converted only 4 first downs in the first half. We were 0 for 4 on third down. I'm like, what the football, guys? What are we doing here? And, even uglier, Pittsburgh only had 10 offensive plays. That was a big one for me, 10 offensive plays. I mean, come on, if you don't have Ben on the field, you can't win a game. But Ben, oh my gosh, in the second half, I mean, in the fourth quarter alone, he was absolutely flawless. He led his 10th game winning drive against the Ravens. He had a 153 quarterback rating. I mean, Ben really, seriously, just did, he basically won the game for us. I think TJ was an integral part of that. I think everyone, stepped up. I think one of the things everybody probably needed to let go of was the shank by Boswell. Let's face it. He was not out there missing. He's always money. He's like Tucker on the other side of the field, but he just happened to shank one. It was so bad. That doesn't happen very often. So cut him some slack. I knew it was going to come down to the end, but luckily, John Harbaugh decided to go for 2 points, and then instead of kicking the PAT for a tie and going into overtime, and they probably would have come down, and they were basically coming down the field. So 12 seconds remaining. The fact that he went for that, I'm good. We won, and what a game. Again, I'm still hyperventilating. Absolutely crazy. So who else has got some what the football moments going out there? Well, it's interesting. Matt Stafford seems to have found his touchdown mojo again. He was 11 for 16 for 184 yards and against Jaguars. And now it is Jaguars, so let's face it. But they let the Rams win that game. It was a crazy game, and Stafford didn't throw an interception, and when he doesn't, he's 5-0. So I was kind of happy to see that. He's one of my fantasy quarterbacks, so I was pretty happy about that. Now, who is the team out there for you that you sit there and think, if I had to cheer for a team that isn't in the AFC, who would it be? Well, for me, it's the Washington football team. They're just scrappy. I love seeing what they're doing. You got Tyler Heineke on there, who was sitting on his couch last year studying for exams in college because he decided he was going to go teach. And now he, after being around the league for 5 years and being a backup here and there, he's fun to watch. And playing the Raiders and beating the Raiders 19-17, 17-15. That was pretty awesome. Tyler Heineke, he completed 70+% of his passes, and he's doing a great job. He was only 18 for 20 passes, a fewer than 10 yards, and he did have a touchdown, but it was definitely crazy. And Derek Carr, Hail Mary attempts, he needs to stop thinking that he's Aaron Rodgers, because let's just face it, he isn't. So that's a WTF. It's like, dude, what the heck are you doing? It's just absolutely crazy. I think the WTF for the Seattle game that they won against San Francisco 49ers is that Adrian Peterson has another temporary job. And he also scored a touchdown. He had a 1-yard rush in the second quarter, and you're just like, okay, so how many teams are you going to be on? I lost count now for him. So that was kind of interesting to me. But who did we miss the return of? We watched a game that was still going on after our game, and they switched right away to the Arizona Cardinal Bears game, which Cardinals now are 10-2, and they won 33-22. But remember, Kyler Murray missed the last 3 games, and he then went in and scored 4 touchdowns. And I think 2 were actually him rushing. Absolutely insanity with that guy. And I think fantasy owners were a little pissed because DeAndre Hopkins wasn't supposed to play. It was a game time decision. And yes, he played. And even though he was hobbling a little bit on that ankle, he scored a touchdown as well. But Kyler Murray just looked great. I think keeping him out 3 games and being able to just float, with your backup, I think that was pretty good. I really appreciated the fact that they let him completely heal. And it was good. So it was, congratulations to the Arizona Cardinals. Anybody in the NFC that I can congratulate them, especially when, you're beating teams that are trying out there. Andy Dalton was out there, but you're just doing a good job. And I have a feeling it could be them in the Super Bowl. That's just all I'm saying. I think it could be a repeat of them coming up in the Super Bowl. But let's take a look at that Miami game. Miami, I think, is a sleeper out there. They're 6-7 now. They beat the Giants 20-9. But, Tua finally is starting to come into form. They've been giving him a lot of crap about, or saying that he's not going to be the guy next year and, after being a number 1 pick. But they need to give these quarterbacks a chance. I mean, when you don't have the weapons and you don't have the line that you need. And he had a little bit of, health issues, which some of that I think they just didn't want him in the game. But I mean, he's starting to do pretty well. He was sharp for that game, 30 of 41 passes, 244 yards, 2 touchdowns. But he is, he's doing it. So Miami Dolphins, you know what? WTF football right now, just give him a shot. I mean, just, I know it's the Giants, but he had a over 100% passer rating, 100 plus passer rating, I should say. And in his last 4 games, just kind of take a look at that. Remember that that's also what Dan Marino did back in the day in the 80s. So it takes a quarterback a while. Try not to always just give up or whatever. Now, I realize they had Mike Glennon on the other side of the ball with the Giants because their starter is out. But still, I mean, you win a game, you win a game. Let's not, figure out who did that. Now, I think the best WTF moment was the Detroit Lions won. They won against the Minnesota Vikings, who the Steelers play this Thursday. And it was just so great to see just their spirit and the fact that Dan Campbell dedicates the first Lions win to Oxford shooting victims. I mean, our hearts go out to them. So, we send our thoughts and prayers with all the families on that. That was just a sad situation. But just for the city of Detroit to get a win there, I mean, that was just great. Now, I'm not a fan of Jared Goff, and here is an awesome, hilarious WTF moment. So we've had our issues with Ian Rappaport of NFL Network. I mean, he even got suspended for breaking a story or saying a story that was wrong. He'd been there back a couple of years ago. He was all about Ben going to go to Bruce Arians in Arizona, that he was going to leave the Steelers. And we're like, you are stupid. Knock it off. So he's not one of our favorites. He says stuff that you're like, yeah, dude, sources. What sources? Your hand sock puppet? Come on. So he posts on Twitter this week after Jared Goff got it done. He posts Jared Goff's girlfriend in her full bikini with Sports Illustrated on the beach, and jumping up and down for they finally got a win because she wasn't able to be at the game. Now, do you think that if Jared Goff's girlfriend was not in a bikini, that would have been posted? What a dog, WTF. I mean, to me, what the football, but gosh, I swear, Ian Rappaport, we're calling you out there, dork. Okay, now Kirk Cousins lost his first game as a Viking against the Lions, and they're on a short week with us, so we're praying big time that, and they also don't have, who was it, Thielen, so he's out now for them. So with being short-staffed and everything, I really have a positive, I hope we're, get the job done and keep forward motion going for our game this coming Thursday. Now, Philadelphia Eagles and New York Jets. Well, the Jets are the Jets. I mean, let's face it. When you're a Jet, you're a Jet. Anybody saw that West Side Story, but the Eagles win 33-18. But you know what the best WTF moment was? Gardner Minshew. He was the quarterback. So Jalen Hurts, he's been hurt and he's still the guy. I mean, he's their number one, pick. So he's still the guy out there, but it paid off to put Gardner in. I love that mustache. He's a capable backup. He was sharp on Sunday. He completed 80% of his passes for 242 yards, 2 touchdowns, and his passer rating was 133.7. I mean, according to NFL.com, what a stat sheet. He, didn't throw an incompletion until a minute was left in the half. I mean, he connected on his first 11 attempts in the game. So just really congratulations to him. And it was just very sweet when we saw after the game that he went out to hug his dad. It was just so cute. I love that guy. He's just so humble and he has nothing to prove. He's out there doing what he needs to do. So another WTF is that we appreciate the Chargers for beating the Bengals. Now, obviously, 2 AFC teams, but you know what? Anytime we can get an AFC North loss, it only helps the Steelers. So we appreciate that. Thank you. And what else is going on around the league? So, we don't need to talk about Brady winning another game, but how about the Monday Night Football game? Okay, so it was in snow, sleet, rain, freezing rain, you name it, wind like crazy in Buffalo. And who was playing in Buffalo? Well, New England, who is the top of the number 1 seed in the AFC. Well, you're thinking maybe it's going to be, if you didn't look at the weather, I actually took the over, which was stupid. I should have looked at the weather because it was definitely not passing weather. But when you think not passing weather, you kind of think the quarterback will pass at least 10 times. Oh, no. In the first half, Mac Jones was 1 for 1. He passed 2 times, and one was an incompletion and one was a pass. And I'm just like, you've got to be kidding me. And the whole game, he only passed 3 times. That's it. 3 times. Can you imagine seeing that game and then a wide receiver saying, I need a job, and saying, well, if you're into stats or you want to show what you do, you're going to be blocking. You're going to be part of the offensive line. You're not going to be catching a ball. I mean, I picked him up 1 week because I had quarterback out in fantasy, and he scored 6 points. He's just not passing much, but he's winning his games. Did they win with 3 passes? They did. And so that is just crazy to me. But, it's Bill Belichick. So what do you say to that? I mean, windy battle, Josh Allen, they played the Bills. I mean, how do you not get excited about that if, it was 14-10 and the wind, yes, the Patriots and Bills, they know about that weather. It was very gusty. We saw people being pushed out of their seats, and it was pushing balls to the right. But just the fact that, you've got 30 passing attempts by Josh Allen and 3 for Mac Jones, you just sit there and go, okay, it was just crazy to me. Absolutely crazy game to me. But, here you go. So with Monday night's win, Mac Jones joined Ben Roethlisberger, Dak Prescott, and Kyle Orton, actually, as the only rookie quarterbacks to win 7 consecutive games as a starter in the Super Bowl era. So he's with good company, definitely a what the put football, but it's not from passing, it's from handing the ball off, and they definitely had crazy game last night. So anyway, everyone, thanks for joining me. Hope you're having a great week. Don't forget, we have Thursday night football this week. So no matter what, get home early from work. Make sure you're situated. Make sure you're where you need to be so that when we go to Minnesota, we have a good fan base, whether it be virtually afar or there at the stadium. So make it a great day. Make it a great week. And thank you for listening to the Steel City Underground WTF podcast.
We would like to thank you for listening and remind our listeners to follow us on social media and our website, www.steelcityunderground.com.